Buzzer Beater Podcast.
Yes, sir.
Look at this kid.
Take 12. 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the second episode of the Buzzer Beater Podcast. My name is Taylor Gustafson. I am joined by Ben Johnson, Nathan Grubbs, and Samuel Schobeck. To kick off tonight, we're going to talk about the Super Bowl 51. Happened on Sunday night in Houston, Texas.
It's the most pathetic thing I've ever watched in my life.
28-3, Atlanta lead, going into the midway point of the third quarter. And then Tom Brady did his thing. Patriots
His
win.
thing? You're saying that's his thing? Like it happens all the time?
I guess not. Tom
No,
Brady.
that's not Tom
Yeah.
Brady's thing. That is not his thing.
Tom Brady did some voodoo magic and ended up winning in the first overtime Super Bowl game, 34-28.
Yeah, that was... Falcons really blew it. That was the most pathetic Super Bowl.
If
Okay,
if
that's
I'm
not
Dan Quinn, I would have had arrangements at a funeral. Because I'm sorry, you're up by 25 points and you lose. Not in even overtime. You lose in regulation.
That was...
You play in a dome.
They were outscored 31-0 at the point where it was 28-3.
So dumb. So dumb.
It's
That was-
pathetic.
It's the second worst choke I've ever seen.
What's number
What's a
one?
one?
Number one was Colts Chiefs in the playoffs.
Oh my
yeah.
god.
Wild card round.
Luck's rookie year.
Yeah. Colts were down at one point.
I remember watching that game.
Going into halftime, it was 31-10, and the Chiefs came out and scored again, and then the Colts still rallied to win 45-44.
Andrew
Put up
Luck.
21 points in the third quarter.
The handoff, the fumble, Luck gets it, Superman's it over to the end
Yeah,
zone.
like
That's the play I think of that game.
yeah. So that's the best. That one's the second best comeback in postseason history, and then Patriots are right behind it.
The play that did it was that fumble that Hightower caused
I agree.
on the
Yeah.
outside. That block was a missed block, and that sack strip
Well, I mean, I think
was huge.
Brady said it best. I never thought I'd say that before, but when Brady said in an interview, Coach Belichick tells us that every game there's those plays that could swing the game one way or the other, and
Yeah.
that game had about 30. Where if they would have gone any different, they wouldn't have been able to come back.
That Edelman catch, not a catch,
Oh
the
my
game's
goodness.
over.
Not a catch.
That was
Did you
catch.
think that was
Oh, it was-
complete
that
catch?
No,
miracle
yeah.
catch?
Yeah, I know, but if that wasn't a catch,
Yeah.
because talking about the plays that could have gone either way. If that's not a catch,
I mean, Atlanta had the ball at their own 20-yard
ran
line.
the ball 3 times and
And then you run the ball 3 times
Yeah,
or even
Julio.
twice. Or like
That's the thing is they didn't use Julio as much.
he had that amazing sideline catch that was useless.
he
That
had
was,
like-
that was
some-
one of the best catches I've
That was
ever
insane.
seen.
He
But
had
his
a
total
great
capping is
game,
incredible.
and it's like Matt Ryan, utilize him more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, he was doing just fine.
Yeah, the way he planted that foot, I thought it was incomplete at first,
I think everybody did until they saw
Yeah.
that other camera angle.
yeah,
but he kicked his foot down like that. His
pulled a
awareness-
Michael Jackson.
Oh yeah,
Got struck by a smooth criminal over here.
yeah.
That was incredible.
His awareness is just elite.
So for you guys, I know I saw a lot on social media, Falcons fans complaining that in overtime there were missed penalty calls.
Which there were.
Do you think that's a valid excuse, or do you have any reason to complain because you blew a 28-3 lead?
Heck no. You blow that kind of lead, you deserve to lose. Like, you can't complain about a couple bad calls in overtime, which they were there. There were twice where Edelman was, it was an illegal shift, where he started moving forward. Like, you can go side to side all you want, but he started moving forward before the ball was snapped twice on 2 tosses. And both of them were either for a big gain or the winning touchdown.
Yep.
And, like, as true as that is, sorry, you blew a 21-3 lead. Like,
And even if they didn't get that touchdown, it's 3rd and goal from the 1 or from the half-yard line.
yeah, like it
And
doesn't.
they don't
matter.
get that, Bills go for a
irrelevant.
4th down.
It's irrelevant.
Because if they have to turn it over, the
They'd
Falcons have the
rather
ball at the
turn it
half-yard
over.
line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You all blitz Matt Ryan, get a safety, game over.
Game over.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is that's why I say it's almost like they didn't go in overtime. I mean, it was right
They
away.
really
They
didn't.
scored on the first drive. I mean, to me, Atlanta lost the game in the regular game.
Yeah.
They lost it in
left
the regular game.
regulation.
It doesn't matter about overtime because overtime lasted like 3 minutes.
When I saw that New England won the toss and received, I said to myself, the game's over.
It's over.
Atlanta was dead.
Yeah.
Their offense did nothing the whole second half, the third quarter, and the fourth quarter.
They scored 1 touchdown in the third quarter. And it
Nothing
was
in
the
the
opening
fourth.
drive.
Yeah.
It was the opening drive of the second quarter.
The,
So they were up
Yeah.
28-3. 28-3, and they blew it. That's shameful. You deserve to lose a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
and then, of course, the guy who got the penalty on Martellus in the end zone was a gopher. The linebacker that
Yeah,
got
instead
the
of
passing
first and goal.
interference. He was a gopher.
Devondre Campbell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a good job, Minnesota.
Which-
right
I mean, that's foolish by him. If you know you're in that.
there. Well, he's a
goal line
rookie,
stand,
so. But
He's
then
a rookie,
if
but
Devontae
you just
Freeman could have
gotta
picked
know
that ball off.
You can't hold him.
Yeah.
No.
You know, it's a Super Bowl. Like, those yards matter.
Yeah.
You know, especially in overtime.
It's
You
like
don't want
Ben
to give
Lieber
up
against
yards.
the Saints in 09 in overtime when he got that penalty and
That
had
was a bogus call.
a game-winning field goal.
And, like, honestly,
New
like,
Orleans.
he should have just gotten turned around. Because, like, it wasn't that great of a throw. Like, if we're being real. Like, all he had to do was turn around. Oh, the ball's right in my face. Just bowed it down. But, yeah, that game definitely questioned everything I've ever said about Tom Brady, which that's hurt a little bit. Every time I see his picture on social media or wherever, I just, like, you can't help but respect him. It's like, that's impressive.
Is Tom the new GOAT? There was a quote today from Joe Montana, covered by NFL Network's Facebook page, that the premise was he said that he feels you cannot title a GOAT because you cannot compare players that played in different eras of the game.
Yeah.
In reference to him compared to Brady. Do you guys feel like that's fair, or do you think there's one and it's Brady now?
No, I think there's one, and it's the man that I said in last week's podcast, Tom
you
Brady.
did.
I told you guys. I told you. Tom Brady is the best quarterback to ever play in the National Football League. Joe Montana is his second, is number 2, but I mean, there's nobody else that could have came back and won this Super Bowl. I mean, the guy's got five Super Bowl rings
5
here.
or 7. Eli's beat him, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's the worst quarterback in the NFL is beating him.
That's a lie.
Worst veteran.
One of the worst.
Eli Manning is by no means an elite quarterback. He is mediocre at best.
He's good.
He's
'cause
clutch.
He does well
He's
under
clutch in
pressure. He's
playoffs.
clutch.
He does.
Clutch.
He's a clutch quarterback, and he had a couple really good seasons where he didn't f up and throw 5 interceptions in one game.
Yeah.
But I was talking on your point, Sam. I was talking with one of my friends, Asian Jake, and
good.
we'll have him on here one of these days probably. He loves talking sports, but I was talking to him about Tom Brady. Is he the best ever? And what he said was, I'm not going to do it justice, but he said that whole conversation is completely irrelevant. It's like there are so many elite quarterbacks, and like winning championships comes down to the team.
Yep.
The NFL is a team sport.
Oh yeah.
It's not
Completely different
basketball where you
defenses, completely different offenses, completely different teams. It doesn't matter. Like, how many rings you have should not be part of the conversation. Because your defense could completely suck the entire game, and you had a great game. I don't blame Matt Ryan for losing the Super Bowl. Like, I'm sorry, but when your defense just decides to go take a nap
Yeah.
the whole second half
Because you're
after
up
shutting him
23,
out,
you think it's over, and
Yeah.
Tom Brady's like, I see that now.
But he also didn't score any points. I mean, think
That's
about
fair,
it. If
but-
they're not scoring points and their defense is just giving it up, he's not helping his defense out.
that's true. But, like, again, you can't put it all on Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan didn't commit
Yeah.
how
It's
many
play
holding
calling
plays.
yeah.
How many holding plays? I mean, that goes to offensive line. Play calling, that's, your offensive
Mike
line.
Shanahan, who's now the head coach of the 49ers.
Yeah, like, Matt Ryan had a good game. Like, he went 17 of 23, 284 and 2 touchdowns. No picks, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
He didn't throw a pick in the game.
Nope.
And,
Only thing was the fumble.
yeah, I mean, yes, Brady put up 466. But,
All that was in the second half
for real, he had,
in overtime.
200 yards in the fourth quarter?
Yeah.
That's retarded. Like,
If
And then
you're the
another,
MVP,
like 60
though,
in OT.
if you're the MVP, you should be stepping up.
He
Yeah.
did step up though.
Not second half.
You can't.
Matt
Blame it
Ryan
all
did
on
not
him, though.
step up second
no,
half.
like, you can't. Yeah, he could have done better. like we were talking about earlier, yeah, you got to give the ball to Julio. He's your main guy. But I think that conversation of the best ever is irrelevant. Because look at Dan Marino. Never won a Super Bowl.
No, but he's Hall of Fame.
But he's Hall of Fame, and he's a great quarterback, and he's elite. You know, people rat on Peyton Manning because he wasn't good in the playoffs. I mean,
He wasn't.
well, you look at his team. His team choked. I mean, you look at greats like Marvin Harrison. I remember watching one game. It was against the Chargers at home in the playoffs, and Marvin couldn't catch a thing for his life. Like, Peyton was throwing him dimes, and he just couldn't catch. Like, I think when we're talking about the best ever, I think it's just, like, it's an elite group. And I don't think you can pick one to be the best. But, yeah, that's just my...
Since you mentioned Dan Marino in the Hall of Fame, how about Terrell Owens getting snubbed from another possible Hall of Fame entry? Do you guys, obviously, when I think of T.O., I don't think of his stats, like number 2 in touchdowns and top 5 in every other stat. I think of he went into locker rooms and he tore them apart. Do you think that off-the-field actions should influence if you make it to the Hall of Fame or not? Should it be all on-field stats, or should it also come into play what you did off the field?
It depends. Like, T.O., near the end of his career, it seemed like all he cared about was reality TV shows. Like, you just see commercial after commercial about him being in another reality show.
Or him working out in his front lawn.
Yeah, it didn't seem like he cared much about football towards the end of his career. More of just trying to keep his name relevant in the league.
I think I was watching something. Maybe it was Fox Went Undisputed with Skip and Shannon. It was probably that. And one of them said that T.O., I think, is the only receiver to have 10 touchdown reception seasons with 4 separate teams. Niners, Eagles, Cowboys, and Bills. I don't think he did much for the Bengals when he played there.
Yeah. And I don't... Like, he was a good player. And as I'm sure many defenders would say, he's a scary guy to cover.
Yeah.
When he played. But I think the Hall of Fame should be full of a bunch of classy guys. And it's one of the highest honors you can get individually as a player in the NFL is being in the Hall of Fame. And T.O., like you said, like he's even on the field, he was a big jerk.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
How many unsportsmanlike penalties did he have in his life?
The Star Game
was
that. He goes and takes the football and puts it on the star.
It was when he was with the Niners. It was maybe even a playoff game.
It might have been.
He caught a touchdown. He ran to the center of the Cowboy Stadium, threw the ball down at the Star. Yep. Emmitt Smith scored the following drive for the Cowboys, repeated what T.O. did. T.O. caught another touchdown, did what he did originally, then he got blindsided by one of the Cowboys' corners or something.
Because he was a 49er at that point, wasn't he?
That was when he was just in the league,
yes.
Yeah. That's when he was the hothead new guy before he actually got a name for himself.
Yeah.
Outside of San Francisco.
And wasn't he the one who scored a touchdown? I don't remember who it was against, and then went and gave the ball to his girlfriend? Or who's that? That was somebody else.
I don't
Probably Chad Ochocinco.
Honestly,
it was one of them.
Just like T.O.
But T.O. is a hothead, and I think he deserves to wait.
And one of his big moments was caught a touchdown, grab a dude's popcorn, and shoved it onto his face mask, if you remember that. That's a pretty popular image of T.O. And then that's my quarterback rant when media was talking about Tony Romo, and he's like, that's my quarterback, and getting all teary-eyed about that.
That's my quarterback.
Wasn't there... This was such a long time ago, but I seem to remember there being a lot of drama between him and Jason Witten and Tony Romo, because Romo was throwing the ball to Jason Witten more.
Yeah.
And he was throwing a fit about it because...
And T.O. did that in Philly during the Super Bowl with McNabb and the running back, Brian Westbrook.
Yeah, Westbrook.
You did the same there, too.
Yeah.
Which I think that's a big reason why he's not in, is because the legacy of T.O. has been tainted by the crap that he pulled off the field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if he's a top 5 or top 3 receiver of all time stats wise.
I mean, looking at his stats right now, 1,078 receptions, 15,000 yards, and 153 touchdowns. That's spectacular stats.
That's top 5 in every category for receivers in NFL history.
But I don't think a lot of people respect him enough.
I know next year, Randy Moss can get enshrined along with another Viking. I think it's an old lineman.
I think Randy will be first ballot.
I'm not
I
sure.
heard a lot of people saying, why should Randy be in if T.O.'s not?
Yeah, that's what I was going to
Because
bring.
Randy
Guys,
kind of
like-
did the same thing, but
Just
it
not
wasn't
as a
quite
large
as
scale.
nationally known as what T.O. did.
Yeah.
Like, Randy coming here, if Chris Carter wasn't here when Randy was drafted, he would have pulled a Johnny Manziel and
Oh, yeah.
acted dumb and got out of the league because I think Chris Carter probably saved his career.
Mm-hmm.
And,
And
but
even
I-
at
If
that
he got his
point,
life together.
Chris Carter was in a shaky place before he came to the Vikings, too. And
Carter was cut by the Eagles for
Eagles
drugs. He was
he-
huge into drugs and alcohol.
got kicked out of Ohio State.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was watching this video ranking the top wide receivers from the 2000s,
He's
and
number 1.
at number 1 they put Marvin Harrison, and a lot of people disagreed with that
I would. He wouldn't be
Yeah.
number 1 in my book.
because, and one of the arguments that they gave for that is, when you look at Marvin, what did he do off the field? Like, you don't hear anything about him. Like, he was a
No.
classy dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you look at the 2000s, you've got the guys like Ocho Cinco and
Randy, T.O.
yeah, like all these loudmouth guys who were all top 5.
Yeah.
And
And you got Marvin, who's quiet.
Marvin was quiet. He went out there. He did the job. The spotlight wasn't necessarily on him because
on
he didn't have a
Peyton.
big mouth.
Heinz
You know? So,
Heinz Ward.
I
yeah.
think another
Heinz Ward,
receiver is Donald Driver.
Yes, he should be
Yeah.
Hall of Fame.
Like, he,
He's a
even though I
class
hate the Packers, I mean, I still respected his game. Like,
As a kid playing Madden, I would always trade for Donald Driver.
yeah,
Always, just because I liked him.
yeah.
He's a classy guy.
Yeah.
I loved watching Donald
Mhm.
play.
I remember, I think it was the game against the Vikings when the game where AP was 9 short of the all-time record. I think that was Driver's last game because he got hurt or something.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I remember watching them saying, "Look,
Yeah.
he's crying on the side because he knows that's the last game he's ever going to play."
Mhm.
And just the passion Driver had. Was he number 1 on that list?
No, Marvin Harrison was number 1 on the list.
I mean, yeah. Sorry,
he was at least top 5.
He should,
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
Donald Driver was a legend.
He was real good. He was a good Packer.
All right, next thing. Big news yesterday. So I'm a Vikings and Seahawks fan. I hate Blair Walsh. I
We
mean,
all do.
amazing rookie season. Set NFL record for most 50-plus made in a season. I finally thought I would never have to deal with Blair on one of my teams. My theory is Blair's going to kick the Vikings out of the playoffs one of these years. They're going to play in the playoffs. Blair's going to kick the game-winning field goal, whatever.
Or he's going to miss it.
And then
right
I'm
this time.
hanging out in a room on our floor, and I look on my phone, and it says, signed, Seattle signs Vikings kicker Blair Walsh. I'm like, you cannot be serious. This bothers me a lot. He has no confidence in himself.
Oh, yeah.
Ever since he started missing kicks, and then he missed that, was it 28, 25,
27.
27-yard field goal.
I was there for that.
Which would have
I was
beaten
very
Seattle,
mad.
would have knocked off the 2-time defending NFC champions and
Mhm. Yeah.
2-time Super Bowl team.
He went
and-
on to lose.
He missed it, and everything was gone after that, and we're all saying, cut Blair Walsh, and we finally do it. And then I look at this, and I'm like, no.
It's your one
Seattle-
other team that you cheer for.
I know, the other team I love, they now have got Blair, and Steven Hauschka, this current Seattle kicker, is a free agent. He had an off year, too. This year, the game against Arizona in overtime on Sunday Night Football, when the Cardinals kicker missed a short one to win the game, and then Hauschka missed an even shorter one to win the game.
Oh, yeah.
And they did it again in overtime, didn't they?
The-
There were a
Yeah.
lot of missed kicks in
Yeah,
that game.
that was, I don't know.
That was
The
pathetic.
Seahawks fan in me is really worried because I don't trust Blair whatsoever at all.
Wouldn't either.
Mhm.
And, I mean, maybe Seattle's got the answer. I saw.
Maybe.
I feel like it could gain his confidence though, because I look at Mason Crosby
Had that awful year when Blair
and
went off.
David
his rookie year.
Akers. Both those kickers had a really, really rough year, and both of them were on the edge of getting cut. And Mason Crosby just kind of kept pushing through it, and now he's one of the most accurate kickers.
Nailed
in
that
the NFL.
56 to help beat the Cowboys.
You know, so I look at Blair, and maybe leaving the Vikings could be like the best thing that could happen to him.
It could be.
As much as he's a bad kicker right now, he might gain a lot of confidence from a new team, new everything. So I don't know.
But
We'll
one
have to
thing,
see.
if you start to struggle, Michael Bennett and Sherman aren't going to resist telling you
Your
off
part?
to the media.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
He has a lot of potential.
He does. He really
But-
does.
You look at his missed kick against Seattle. That wasn't the first. That's not when it began. It began that season.
Yeah.
In the preseason, and then we saw in the San Francisco game where we got blown out.
That one was.
It was a big
bad.
momentum changer when he missed that first field goal.
Yeah. I mean, Blair did have multiple game-winning kicks last season.
Yeah.
And then to go, I realize that blaming Blair Foley for the playoff game's not fair because he was 3 for 3 on
Yeah.
field goals.
Yeah.
Below zero weather, it can't
That
be easy
is-
to kick a
yeah.
frozen football.
And
But
the
it's
argument.
like,
But when you have a 27-yard chip shot,
Yeah.
Jeff Locke has to make sure laces are out.
But
not
even
in.
though it's a 27-yard field goal, you still got to make it. It's like
Yeah.
But nobody's perfect.
No,
Nobody's
and I'm not
perfect.
saying that, it's just that
Vinatieri-
it makes sense for the Vikings because the Vikings lost in 98 due to Gary Anderson. The
Yeah.
Vikings lost in 09 in the championship game because of a field goal kick.
And
You
we
know,
all
Field goals
know,
are what are killing the Vikings in their promising seasons.
We all know if you want your confidence boosted in the NFL, the team you don't want to be on is the Minnesota Vikings.
Or if you want to gain confidence, play them in the postseason, the NFC Championship game, the
And
chance to win the game.
they'll choke.
whatever happened to the Colts kicker Mike Vanderjagt?
Screw that guy.
Nathan does not. I asked this question once, and I thought I was gonna die. Just the anger out of him.
I hate Mike Vanderjagt more than Taylor hates Blair Walsh. Let me tell you the story. All right.
And guys,
so,
this is sports hate, not a personal life hate.
yeah,
Sports
exactly. I'm sure he's actually a jerk in real life.
hate. I was
But
screwed then.
so it's 2005 playoffs, right? Colts are playing the Steelers. We're down. Steelers have the ball. They're at like the 1 yard line. The 1 yard line. They give it to is it Jerome Bettis?
Yeah,
The bus
the bus.
that they gave him the ball at like the 1 yard line. I'm thinking it's over. He's gonna score. That's it. Throw in the towel. And Gary Brackett, our linebacker and our captain, the general of the defense, pops the ball out, and one of our defenders picks it up and he runs it down
Big
the
Ben
field.
makes the clutchest
Big
quarterback
Ben makes
tackle in history.
the most amazing quarterback tackle in NFL history and saves their game. And then I don't know what happened, but Peyton, they moved the ball up the field, got in field goal range. They couldn't do any more than that. Mike Vanderjagt gets out there, kick a chip shot field goal, goes wide right. Would have won us the game.
Man.
in the AFC, right?
Yeah. Well, no, we would have. That was
So was that
You
a
would've
that was the
played New
divisional
England,
round.
Okay.
We would have gone on to play, I
New
believe,
England.
Denver.
I thought it was New England.
What year was it?
It
'Cause
was
New- it was
2005.
That was when New
New
England
England.
beat the Eagles.
Yeah.
No, that
Yes.
was the year because that was the year Pittsburgh won the Super Bowl.
Oh, that's right. That was Pittsburgh, Seattle.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
True.
never
And
mind.
Detroit. Yeah.
I firmly believe the
That's
Colts
blew
would have
that
won
game,
the
by the way.
Super
Seattle
Bowl.
should have won that Super Bowl.
Oh yeah.
But
Big Ben.
they should've.
Looks freaking.
He moves the
Randall
ball.
But if it
Yeah.
wasn't for Mike Vanderjagt, Peyton might have gotten another ring. Because that defense was really good that year. We lost quite a few players, even though we went on to win the year after.
Yeah.
Blow out the Bears.
Blow out the Bears. That was such an easy game. That was
Devin
back when
Hester.
the NFC was garbage and the AFC had all
Yeah.
the competition.
Power. Yeah.
Yeah.
That flipped roles pretty quick for the NFC. For a
For
couple
real
of
though,
years.
you got Legion of Boom and
San Fran when they had Coach
San
Harbaugh.
Francisco.
Yeah. Honey Badger and Patrick Peterson.
When he was actually relevant, now he's
Honey Badger?
No,
Oh.
PP, Patrick
PP.
Peterson.
Oh,
Yeah,
he's
he
old.
hasn't been.
Man, he's old.
Yeah, he's fallen off.
All in a few years, you had the Legion of Boom team,
Yeah.
and you had the 49ers under Jim Harbaugh.
Oh, yeah.
That team
With-
was
That
so
team
good.
was so
With
good.
Then you had
Kaepernick.
Green
Kaepernick.
Bay, of course,
Yeah.
they're always a contender. I'm pretty sure Dallas had a good year in there.
I mean, they were
As
8
good a
and 8
year.
for 4 years with Garrett.
As
So.
good a year as Dallas can have, but
Well, no, because that era too was when Michael Vick was in Philly and they had the Dream Team. That
Yeah, I
Yeah,
really thought that
that's right.
team was going to win the Super Bowl that year.
Michael Vick had and then Chip Kelly's like, not get rid of Deshaun, get rid of Macklin, get rid of LaShawn McCoy, but let's keep the
What an
racist
idiot.
Riley Cooper. That's a great
Yeah.
idea.
bunch of white people.
Then you want to mention the Packers with their
Yeah, so kind of two faces that I was kind of expecting, but shocked about Sam Shields. He had the concussion and he's had problems with that, but I think the Packers really missed him this season, and so I'm just kind of shocked to see them letting him go. But the other guy was Starks, which I think I loved Starks, but he was another injury-prone guy. But he was a fun running back to watch because he could break off some really big runs, and then obviously there were games where just like he couldn't get runs. But obviously he was on the Super Bowl team, so it's kind of fun to see that that Super Bowl player on that team. But I think another reason why they might have let him go is they have Ripkowski, which Ripkowski is a monster.
except for that fumble against Atlanta.
Yeah, and that's one of those things where he's never been in the playoffs, but that guy for a fullback was probably one of the best pickups Packers have had in a long time. So I kind of see where the Packers were thinking, and I think definitely in the draft they are going to go defensive this year because
They need to.
they need to. They've already
That
picked up a
secondary got
lineman.
exposed.
They're looking at I believe a linebacker from Seattle actually.
Which one?
I'm not for sure who it was. I don't think he's one of their
Okay.
main guys, but a practice squad guy maybe. But they need the defense is first, so I could see why they got rid of Sam Shields and got rid of Starks. But it is kind of disappointing when you see guys like that. But Tramon Williams left, and he's not really doing anything where he's playing at. But you gotta let guys go and gotta get in fresh new people.
Yeah, and I really think this could be the Packers' year to fix their defense.
Yes,
Because their offense is still going to be good. They still have Aaron Rodgers. That offensive line is amazing. I think it's, like we said last week, it's the best offense,
Best passing offensive
passing offensive line in the league right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I think they could really improve their defense because they don't have a lot of needs on offense. And over half of their free agents are on their defense.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, Sam Shields, Micah Hyde's on there, Julius Peppers. Could you see either of those guys?
Peppers.
I
They're
want
gonna re-sign
I
Peppers.
want Peppers to stick around because
You have to.
the
Peppers is a
reason
monster.
why I think Peppers went to the Packers is because he knows he has a chance to win a Super Bowl.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And Carolina was garbage and he was there, and the Bears are trash.
Bears
Bears
aren't going
were-
to go
yeah.
for a while.
The Bears.
Not
But
under Jay Cutler.
No.
I really see Peppers sticking around. At least maybe one more.
I hate watching Peppers play the Vikings because Peppers is that linebacker who will come out of nowhere and pick you off or get a big sack, and you're like, where did this guy come from?
And the
Clay
thing is,
Matthews or Peppers? you
He's
have to worry
only
about.
in there for a few reps for downs. He comes in and
But
out.
when he's in there, he makes his presence felt.
when he's in there, he. So I think the way that the Packers have utilized him is they haven't overused him. They've
Yeah.
used him enough where he still has his presence, but they're not wearing him down where he's like, I can't play anymore. So I see him sticking around, but
Yeah.
Any other big names?
I know from the Colts they just cut DeQuell Jackson. Didn't really see this one coming. Arguably, he's the best player on our defense, even though our defense is absolute garbage. He's been in Indy for quite a while, and really got to give it to our new manager, Chris Ballard. He's been coming out and making some gutsy decisions. Unlike Ryan Grigson, he's not afraid to move on from a player. instead of just milking them for everything they're worth. Just crossing your fingers, hoping they're
Yeah.
going to do something. Honestly, if Ryan Grigson would have drafted Johnny Manziel, he'd probably still be on the team because the guy just couldn't move on. But I'm encouraged going forward. We have some other big free agents this offseason. We got Eric Walden. I think they'll re-sign him. He's a linebacker. Really good pass rusher. We really need to pick up a good pass rusher or two because we just lost Robert Mathis. And if you're going to get rid of DeQuell Jackson, then those are a couple big linebackers that can really get after the quarterback. Trent Cole is another free agent.
Wow.
He honestly has not done a whole lot. So I honestly I don't know how much of this defense we're going to lose. There's a couple guys in the secondary. Duke Williams, I have no idea who that is. He's probably going to get cut. Darius Butler. That's the other one.
You have to keep him. He's your best corner, isn't he?
He's second best, right behind. What's his name?
Vontae Davis.
Vontae Davis. Yeah. So yeah, we got Darius Butler, who's our second best corner, and then Mike Adams at safety. So it'll be interesting to see where we go with that free agency. But what about the Vikings? What's been the news with them?
The obvious move was to get rid of some people on the O-line.
Clearly.
And
My gosh.
we did that by getting rid of Brandon Fusco and Mike Harris.
Which
Harris
didn't play all year because he had an
No,
illness.
I mean, these moves didn't shock anybody.
No.
It was expected. This
I'm just
O-line.
shocked TJ wasn't cut. TJ
Oh
Clemmings.
yeah, TJ Clemmings was
Impressive.
ranked the
There's-
worst right tackle
My
in
gosh.
by
NFL.
Pro Football Focus.
Yeah. That's pretty reputable too.
yeah.
If they say you're bad, you're bad.
You're pretty bad. Yeah. It'll be interesting with Adrian's
Situation.
guaranteed money coming up soon.
Yeah.
Whether we'll release him or not.
They got to make the decision
I think
fast.
they need to release him.
I think that we should release him.
I don't know. Dallas is making pushes for a trade still, as we mentioned last week.
Why?
if we can trade him, then
Dallas
go and
with
do
the
it.
plate, or the Giants were talking about it too.
Yeah, it'd be a good home for him.
That'd be a good home for him.
I
can
really-
see that.
I really like Wisconsin running back Corey Clement out of this year's draft. He just is able to make good cuts. He's sort of a better version of Melvin Gordon. Even though Gordon didn't have the best rookie season,
Yeah.
he came back and had a pretty solid second year
he
here.
really did.
But yeah, if we could get Corey Clement, I'd be thrilled because you look at some of these Wisconsin running backs who are in the NFL, like James White, who made the game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
I mean, these Wisconsin running backs are able to produce. So, I mean, going with the trend, if we can get him, that'd be nice. I just don't want to pay Adrian Peterson that much money.
The
be on
fact
the
that he
roster.
played in 3 games and had probably under 100 rushing yards total for the year.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the fact that he got hurt, yeah. But week one against the
was awful.
Titans, he played terrible.
Yeah.
I mean,
Against the Packers, he was a non-factor, and then tore his...
He started doing something. Like he had a couple of good runs, and then
he had one good run. It was like 7
broke his
yards.
leg.
Bradford was getting us momentum, and then he goes down, and then he comes back for the Indy game because we win this game, and we have a chance to keep going, and we get blown out.
we
and
blew
AP
you
played
out.
like garbage, and
Colts could have put Pat McAfee in at
Oh my
quarterback. and
we
still
couldn't
beat
do anything against you guys. It was pathetic.
It was amazing.
I haven't stopped watching the Vikings game in a long time, but after halftime, I turned it off, went
Yes.
to my room, and I played some PlayStation. I was like, I cannot watch this anymore.
I was snapping you. I'm like, you getting this, boy?
I was getting so mad. And then it was,
This offensive line made this season miserable to watch. Like,
Yeah.
I gave up hope after the Chicago game. Like, I knew our offensive line wasn't.
That was
able to-
kind of the point for me too.
Yeah.
shut your
It was like-
mouth. That's when I realized, okay, this isn't one week hiccup. We got something wrong.
to the Bears.
I mean, we have to attack offensive line in the either via free agency or the draft.
There's 5
We
Minnesota
gotta go.
Viking free agents that are all on the offensive line.
Yeah, it's.
So again,
I
could
mean-
be the season to fix it.
You look at getting rid of John Sullivan right before the season started. That was a
sucked.
bad move because he could have moved Berger to guard
Yeah.
and had Sullivan play center.
Which Sullivan is a veteran, been here forever. He would have held the group together because Alex Boone did nothing.
Yeah, he
He
was
was a
nothing.
waste.
What, we signed him 5 years, 76
He was up
million or
from the
something like that.
49ers, wasn't he?
Yes.
He was. We were.
Maybe he'll be something now, but last year was kind of like a wasted.
We
pick.
were very desperate last year, and now we're even more desperate this year. We're just going out and signing players willy nilly, and Rick Spielman needs to answer for this.
Yeah.
I mean, he's hit on a couple of players, but I mean, this offensive line is just trash.
Yep.
It is the worst in the league.
2 other free agents on the Vikings defense. Captain Munnerlin and Terrence
Cut.
Newman.
Keep
Get rid of
Newman.
them both.
Both of them.
Both of them.
I say keep Newman.
Newman.
No, he's old.
He's
He's
You
old,
got
but
it.
but this year he could keep pace perfectly with Odell and Hopkins.
he didn't cover Odell. Xavier Rhodes covered him.
That's true.
You're right.
But
My mistake.
Could he cover Odell?
No,
though?
oh no, Odell
No.
would burn him.
Odell would burn him for days.
No, you got to get Mackenzie Alexander and Trey Wayne's playing time.
Yeah.
Well,
Mackenzie
they did.
Alexander-
Trey Wayne's got a lot more playing time.
Oh yeah,
Toward the end of the season.
Best play was his pick of Rodgers to clinch the home opener.
yeah.
Yeah.
But no, Trey Wayne's I don't know.
What about offensive side? Got Cordero Patterson,
Gone.
Matt Asiata.
He needs.
Gone.
No,
Keep Asiata.
Asiata. I think he deserves to stay.
Keep
I-
Asiata.
I like Zach Line as our fullback. I don't. Jarek McKinnon
He's up too.
and Jarek
Cut
McKinnon,
line. Keep Asiata.
McKinnon and Asiata are. They're just terrible. I mean,
Both
honestly,
were almost 1,000-yard rushers when AP got suspended for beating his kid with a stick. They both had pretty good years. I don't know.
but Peyton Hillis had a good year.
And you got the city.
had a good season with the Browns. Best
It's-
individual effort by a Browns player since the
Franchise
90s.
history.
Yeah, franchise
Since Johnny
history.
Manziel.
No.
Since Paul Brown.
Yeah.
Since Tim Couch.
No, they need to get rid of Cordell. I
Cordell-
think
Cordell.
after that 1 year where he had a really good year,
His rookie
he
year.
could never find
Oh, yeah.
himself again.
Yeah.
And he's still trying to find himself.
I mean,
It's like they're still trying to find the Vikings Lombardi Trophy. That's what they're trying to find in Cordell because they can't find Cordell. He's not showing up. He's not who they want Cordell to be.
Yeah,
So
Frank,
he needs to be gone.
yeah.
Frank Tarkenton should have 3 Lombardi trophies.
Cordero, he only finished with around 450 yards. It's not like he.
But the big thing is his explosive
His-
kick returns.
But Stephon Diggs is
I'd
explosive.
rather take Stephon
Marcus
Diggs.
Sherrills is explosive.
Sherrills is great.
Adam Thielen's explosive. Jarek
Thielen.
McKinnon's explosive. I
I
mean,
don't know.
I just don't want. I'm not gonna pay him $4
Well, then
million
he's gonna
a
take his-
year.
So then are we going to hope on Treadwell actually getting playing time
I mean,
to take that slot spot?
with the new offensive coordinator Pat Shermer,
Yeah.
Norvin Zimmer, both have this idea that players need to wait their turn. Rather
He's
than
not wrong. That's Zimmer's thing.
I mean-
if you're a rookie, you won't play unless you prove
Yeah.
you're better than every veteran on the field.
It's like
That's fair.
you need to get these guys. When the season was lost, when we
You
lost
should've
those string of
started
games,
playing
you need
Treadwell.
to get those rookies in, get them playing time. It's ridiculous. This coaching staff. This is the most disappointing I've ever been of this coaching staff.
Yeah.
Um,
I was singing Zimmer's praises at 5-0. I think
Every
the media
Vikings
was
fan
singing
was.
his praises along with Bradford.
Everybody was saying
And then-
Vikings in the Super Bowl.
oh yeah,
And I really thought the Vikings were going to be a team to go to the Super Bowl. Which
Well, they
brings
were a
me
hot
up to
pick coming
something
into
else. Have you guys seen the predictions for
Yeah.
next year's?
Vikings.
Vikings.
And they have the
Woo-woo!
Colts in the Super
And-
Bowl.
Oh.
On the last drive, they have luck going down
Now,
there.
what do you think about that?
Blair
Do
Walsh.
you think that's a possibility?
Nah. We got Vinatieri. What are we doing?
It's Brady's going to be in again. Guarantee it. It's going to be
He'll a
Brady
contender.
and probably Seattle or Green Bay.
That's
Atlanta won't go back for a while because they've been.
They might make it to the
Tormented.
playoffs because right now that division's kind
That's
of
a bad division, but they're not going back to the Super Bowl for a while.
I don't think so. I don't think they have the defense.
South Carolina, they won't be back for a while.
Their
either.
defense is young. I could
Yeah.
see Atlanta getting there, but I don't know. I think I like that pick. Obviously, as a Colts fan,
Yeah.
I think
I did.
it's viable. The
It'd
only
be a fun
thing,
game to watch because we're 3 blocks from the stadium.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
definitely. My thing is the deciding factor is going to be, can Andrew Luck finally beat Tom Brady?
No,
Because he hasn't been able to yet.
no.
Is the offensive line going to keep
I think
Andrew Luck?
that's the main thing.
Off
We
the
got to
turf.
fix the offensive line. Which, if Chris Ballard can make something happen in the offseason and make some moves, pick up some players, we got to draft well. We got to do free agency well.
Yeah.
Just fix that offensive line. Like, honestly, that bad defense doesn't matter when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
Because
Both of our teams need to address offensive line.
it would change. It'll change our whole game.
You look at Green Bay and Dallas going after offensive line hard in the draft. I mean, they've been able to retain their players, and that's what Vikings and Colts need to do.
And I think as much as I like that pick and could see it happening, I don't think it will happen this season. In the next 2 or 3 seasons, maybe. But I don't think the Colts just have too many problems. Bad defense, bad O-line. Other than that, like, our offense is still, like, it's a powerhouse offense. You just got to give Andrew Luck time so he doesn't make
Yeah.
stupid throws and get injured every season. So
I could see Washington coming out of the NFC just because Kirk Cousins, if they retain him, he's a good quarterback. And
Yeah.
I could see them.
you like that?
You like that? I could
I
see
think they were
Cousins
one of the
becoming.
biggest flops of that.
Yeah, I could see
Washington.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
The fact that they didn't make the playoffs.
Go out and
Especially
pick up
after
Josh
They were
Norman.
Josh Norman.
scary good,
Well,
I
yeah.
think.
I mean,
They're
sneaky.
yeah,
No one gives them the coverage or the credit.
yeah. I think Kirk Cousins could be a potential MVP candidate next year and for years to come. I
Mhm.
mean, he was a steal in the 2012 draft. RG3. That didn't work out.
R2D2?
That didn't work out for Washington. Good thing they drafted
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins.
I think the Redskins could make a. It'd be hard for them because that division's really competitive.
Yeah.
You know, you have the Cowboys who they're going to be good next year. How good? I don't know. They'll probably make
Yeah.
the playoffs again. They're not going to be the number 1 team in the NFC.
No.
They'll make the playoffs again.
That's over.
Giants. They pick up AP. I could see them making a comeback, and Philadelphia can only go up.
Carson
Oh, yeah,
Wentz.
Carson Wentz.
Carson Wentz is legit.
He looks like another Ben Roethlisberger in the making.
Like I said, hopefully he doesn't sexually assault people. Alright, so we're going to run short on time here, so I want to knock off a couple of quick things that are going on. This weekend is Russell Westbrook against Kevin Durant. Of
Go
course,
Russ.
Durant in the offseason left for the Golden State Warriors. This is the first game. Durant will be back at Oklahoma City, so we'll definitely talk about that in our next podcast episode.
Russ is averaging 30 points per game, 10 rebounds per game, 10
Triple-double.
assists a game.
Triple-double.
He should be starting in the All-Star game, and he will win the MVP this year. KD's averaging 25.7 points per game, 8.4 rebounds or assists per game, and 4.9 rebounds per game.
And then 5 years ago today, as of the recording of February today, the 10th, was when Linsanity started. Remember, he was
Jeremy.
With the Knicks.
Tim Tebow of the NBA.
with the Knicks. He blew out the Lakers, and it took off for a month or so. And now he's a no-name injury guy in Brooklyn.
I like to give references to every player that has one good season. Peyton Hillis. He's the Peyton Hillis of
Yeah.
basketball. I mean, he had a stretch of good games, and then he got paid big in Houston, and now he's making bank for being a crappy player.
And then also one final thing, the Timberwolves signed former Pacer Lance Stevenson to a 10-day contract.
Boo.
We will talk about that next week more in depth,
Yeah.
as we'll have a couple of games under his belt we can analyze and see how
Oh,
that
yeah.
works out. But we'd like to thank you all for tuning into our Buzzer Beater podcast.
Thank you.
We really do appreciate all of you listeners, and we'll be back next week with our 3rd episode.
Check out our content at Buzzer Beater Podcast on Facebook.
Shut up, Sam! That's when you lose it! You do it on your own!